Welcome back. I'm really glad that you're joining me in this video on our series on transforming your life by investing in tax liens and deeds. This is about how to set up your turnkey tax sale business. Don Boehm here, and I again will be your host for this video as we explore the due diligence process. In our last video, we discussed the procedures of how to collect information for researching individual counties. If you've not seen that video, I suggest that you pause this, go back and watch that preceding video because it contains valuable information which builds the foundation for all the material to come. Now today's topic is how to research individual properties. I will be doing an overview of the type of information that I've put together for this purpose. I know that a lot of you do not feel comfortable with this process, but after today, there will be nothing to hold you back from transforming your lives and living the dreams you've always thought about. So let's get right into it. As I stated earlier, the first step is to acquire a current list of available properties for the upcoming auction. This particular list is from Palm Beach County, Florida. This is one of the counties that supplies a great deal of information that is easy to access. One thing is, if you're just starting out, you may want to do a few dry runs or use one of the online practice sites to hone your skills. GrantStreet.com has a good practice site, and here's a web address for your convenience. I also recommend that you attend a live auction prior to investing. I know that your county has an auction where other types of real estate, such as bank foreclosures, are sold. Find out when one is and attend so you won't be surprised when you get to the real thing. So just how do you get a list? A list may be acquired from the county itself, a newspaper or papers that they advertise in, from an online auction site, or from a list broker or a membership site that you belong to which provides this type of service for its members. Once you have a list, the first thing you want to do is narrow the list down to properties that fit your investment criteria and that are in your price range. There's no sense researching properties you can't afford. If you're interested in acquiring the property itself, also figure out what your exit strategies for the liquidation of that property are. By narrowing down your list, you can go from a significant number of properties to a much smaller number that is now manageable. Would a worksheet like this make your task easier? This is the format that I use for the due diligence process. I also have a similar format that will allow me to track the entire process for up to 50 properties at one time. Let's start with this format and go on from there. Before we get started, I have two helpful tips for you. As I've stated before, and I'll say it again, you do not want to start the individual property research prior to 1 week before the auction. The reason for this is that the majority of these properties will redeem before the auction and your efforts will be in vain. The other hint I have for you is that if the auction is done on a premium basis, meaning that the lien or property goes to the highest bidder, you want to set a maximum limit on how much you will pay for that property. On a premium bid format, most properties will sell for a significantly higher price than the minimum or opening bid. And I recommend that you set your maximum limit in a range you're comfortable with as a percentage of the current fair market value. And remember, there are always going to be additional costs that you will incur, such as auctioneer's fees, recording fees, escrow fees, commissions, and the cost of quiet title in most deed situations. Make sure that you factor these costs into your maximum bid format. I cover these items in greater depth and much more detail in our members site. Now, the main component of all lists is the tax identification number, often called the APN, property identification number, or parcel number. This number is unique to each property, and with this number or the physical address, the relevant property profile can be reached. Our next stop is the office of the clerk and controller, where we will start the process of researching a property. Now, in Florida, this office conducts the auction sales. In other states, the office may be the treasurer or even the sheriff. By clicking on the Go to the Online Auction Site button, we're taken to the list of the upcoming auctions, and it shows the date of the next auction and the number of properties that will be auctioned. By clicking on this row, we are taken to the list of properties that will be available for the next auction. If we want to research this particular property, we are taken to the search results. The deed detail page will show us such information as the tax collector certificate, which is the notice in the local newspaper of the intent to sell the lien or deed for the back taxes. When you look, you see that this LLC is the one who is filing the application for the sale of the lien they hold on this property. That means that, this being Florida, the lien has already been in place the required amount of time and is now eligible for application for the deed sale. Do you remember that in my last video we went over the pertinent information about the counties? And that from my worksheet we have links to all the important offices in the county, and by just clicking the link on our county template form, we are taken directly to the office we're looking for. In this case, that office is the property appraiser. As you can see, we've already put in the parcel number to begin the search. This page shows the sales history of the property and has a link to view it. Does this look like it could be an investment opportunity? Sure looks like a nice property to me. So let's zoom our view out and see what else is around here. Looks like this place is in one of the nicer sections of town. We already know that because we checked out the Chamber of Commerce before we did our search. If we go back to the property detail page and scroll down, we see the market and assessed value and the size of this property. By clicking on the structural detail button, we are given much of the detail we're searching for about the property, such as when it was built, the number of bedrooms and baths, the type of heating and air conditioning, and the square footage of the house. Now you're going to check out a number of real estate sites to see what they have to say about this property. The first one will be Trulia.com, where I will put in the address of the property and see what they come up with. This is the right property, so we're on the correct path. Everything matches up what we've seen so far, but hey, if we get this property, here are a list of some agents that I'm sure would love to be on our power team to help us liquidate this property. One of these people could be an instrumental player in our boots on the ground team. Our next item is to ascertain what the neighborhood is like. Have you already done this? Well, you should have before the auction. And by clicking on one of these topics, you'll be given an indication of how each is rated in the community. Now we want to find out what the market value of this property is so that we can make an educated or informed estimate of what we would be willing to pay for this property. When I did a check on various other real estate websites, they're listed under resources on the membership homepage, I was given estimates between $465 and $496. With that difference, we'll need to find out two things. First, we do a search for comparable sales to see what the market is really doing, and second, we want to determine if the market is rising higher or declining. Many counties post past sales on their websites now, making your research so much easier. So when I was searching the websites, none of them was able to show me a street view. But by going to Google Maps, this is the best view of the property I was finally able to get. So based upon the estimates of the value of this property we are looking to bid on, we need to make a decision about what we would be willing to pay for it. If we use the lower estimate of $465,000 and discount that sales price by 10% for a fast sale, that would mean we would have to sell it for around $420,000. Next, we need to factor in the cost to liquidate the property. The figure I usually use is about 10%. This includes commissions if you're using a realtor, quieting the title, recording fees, etc. That puts the price we can pay to break even at $378,000. If we can purchase this property for $300,000, which is about 65% of the estimated fair market value, we will realize a profit of approximately 25% for $78,000. Not a bad deal, huh? In most cases, I'm looking to purchase a property for less than 50% of the fair market value, but working with this type of profit margin, I can increase that percentage and still realize a significant return. In this example, you may say to me, "That's fine, Don, but I don't currently have $300,000 just lying around." Don't worry about that right now, because I will address this issue and answer the question of how to overcome this obstacle. One drawback with tax deed properties is that in most instances we as investors do not have the ability to inspect the interior of the home. So how are we going to figure out what needs to be done to the house? The answer is that in most instances you will not know until after the auction. Remember that they are selling these properties as is. Make sure that either you inspect the property or have someone who is a professional do it for you. You can usually get a pretty good idea about the approximate value of the property based upon the neighborhood. I classify neighborhoods as excellent, good, fair, and poor. And poor is where a property is either in a war zone or the house is unlivable. A word of warning to impress upon you the importance of the due diligence process. I have heard and seen horror stories about properties that make investors cringe. Yeah, how about that one? Real estate sites which show a house on the property, but it's been demolished by the county. Properties that have been flooded and frozen by broken water pipes in winter, and homes that look very good from the street, but only have the exterior facade like the front of a movie set. I hope that this has helped you with an understanding of the due diligence process and will allow you to take the next step in your real estate investment business. Our next video is titled, "What's Next?" This will deal with additional aspects of the business, such as record keeping, access to our auction calendar, and items to consider from a rehab standpoint to maximize your profits, plus a number of possible exit strategies. I want to now remind you of exactly why you are following this path and watching these videos. Remember, what I'm showing you is about transforming your life, and there is something about your life that you want to change. So keep this in mind. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've already got. So until next time, here's to your transformation and profits. I'm wishing you all the best.